Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode as we continue on our series of executive functioning. And this week we are going to be discussing time management, and this is a biggie. There is so much that's involved with time management, and this is one that I struggle with myself particularly. So it's going to this week's episode is going to be a little bit about me, a little bit about the kids, and a little bit about just kind of some different tips and tricks that you can use to manage it. I have a lot that I have to implement myself because I really truly struggle in this area. So as I said, time management is a part of your executive functioning. So it is a part of what sort of controls your brain and manages and helps you know what you need to do, right? When you need to do it. But for people with ADHD, this can be an area of challenge. We tend to live more in the present. Like a large part of our time is spent just in the now, and we don't give as much attention to what needs to happen in the future. So it's like a very disproportionate amount of time that we spend in the present. And so considering what needs to happen, in the days coming, we don't tend to. And then all of a sudden we are just like hit with all these things that we just didn't pay attention to. And then we're scrambling and stressed out. So what ends up happening is that it's like, we know that it's coming, we know that it's happening, but it's just not very interesting, and so it doesn't get our attention, right? We just don't have the adrenaline rush to tend to it. We don't have like, oh yeah, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it eventually. It'll get here, it'll get done. We need sort of that feeling of competition, like a race, like you're racing the clock, like you have that adrenaline rush, like you need that pressure. Like you always, somebody would always say like, you do really well under pressure. And as I've gotten to know myself over the years and figure out sort of what is an ADHD trait of mine and what isn't, I've realized why I've enjoyed doing the different kinds of work that I've done. So I spent 15 years in child welfare actually, and one of my favorite parts of the job was the emergencies. And not because I liked seeing those bad scenes, but it kept me on my toes. I had to think really quickly. I had to get really creative, and I was really good at that. I was good at just jumping in and solving and getting creative with these situations where I had to go like this really fast and come up with these ideas, and it was really a strength set for me. And that was because my brain was on serious overdrive, and it loved it. It just loved those moments, and I thrived in those situations. If I ever went into nursing or anything like that, I would probably be a really good emergency room doctor, like a trauma nurse or something like that, because I love that stuff. I love the adrenaline of the fast-paced environment, the thinking on your toes, the creativity of trying to solve a problem. So there's always that sort of competitive feeling there, right? And it's funny because I'm not necessarily competitive by nature. Like I'm not competing against friends. I'm not like anything like that, but it's more of like I'm competing against my brain, or I'm competing against time or something like that. It's interesting. I can remember in college, I would know weeks ahead of time that I would have a big paper due, but there would be no part of me that would start working on it in a sufficient amount of time. I was always the one that would get to it a day or two in advance, or a day or two ahead of time, depending on how big the paper needed to be. When I was in graduate school working on my master's degree, I had a partner for our final thesis, and this thesis took 2 years to write. And she was, thank God, really, really good about scheduling time to work on this project, because had I not had her, I probably would not have done all the things that needed to be done in the way she chunked it out. I would have done it, and I would have probably done well, but I probably would have not had many friends left at the end of the day when it was all said and done. So, it's just, and I regret it every single time I do it. It's like, why do I do this to myself? But, it's one of those ADHD traits. It's such an ambiguous thing for me. It's so hard to get motivated without that adrenaline push, right? It's like, oh, it can be done later. I don't need to do it right now. But then right now comes up out of nowhere, right? It's like our future events, they're not on our radar. They're just not on our radar. We know they're there, but they're like blips on the screen, far, far away. And so then I find myself scrambling last minute just to get things done. For example, we had Mother's Day, I think a couple weeks ago, and my task was to bring buffalo chicken dip and chocolate chip cookies. Okay. We were supposed to meet at my mother-in-law's on Sunday at like noon or 1, something like that. We had church that morning at 9:30, and I knew I was supposed to bring that. I had known for a few days. Sunday morning at 7 a.m., do you think I had done any of the stuff? Nope. And I still hadn't gotten gifts, and I still needed to do like all the things. And I could have taken care of all of it, but no, 3 or 4 days in advance. Nope. So I'm scrambling, trying to get cookie dough all made up, trying to get the buffalo chicken dip made up, and then go to church, then come home, get the cookies baked before we have to go to my mother-in-law's. In the meantime, once that's done, I'm running down the street to the local greenhouse so I can get Mother's Day gifts for everybody. And I got it all done, but I'm a stress case trying to meet every single need. So, but that's the stuff I do to myself, and I regret it every single time. And you'd think I'd learn. No, I don't. I just keep doing that stuff. I meet the deadlines. I get there most of the time. I'm just not very pleasant in the meantime. Oh my goodness gracious. Another example that's coming up is my 5-year-old turns 6 in August, and my sister-in-law has her daughter will be 8 in August. Their birthdays are just within a week of each other. So typically we do birthday parties together. Well, this summer, my sister-in-law is buying a new house, and she will be in her new house in time for the birthday party. And she's so excited for this party. So she's already starting because she wants to do a carnival theme. And I'm thinking, girlfriend, it's May. And she's like, let's start planning. And I'm like, it's killing me because no part of me has any interest or desire to even think about it. I might start thinking about it the week before. Maybe. But usually that's like typically what I would do. And then I would be running to the store, and I would be picking up the paper plates, delegating certain tasks to different family members, but she's going to have it all done and already. And thank God for her, because she'll assign me tasks and I'll do it. It's not that I'm not capable. It's not that I'm incapable of planning it. I certainly am. And I would probably throw a decent party, but I would have it done last minute. Whereas she's going to still throw an awesome party, but she's going to have everything laid out, and I'm not going to be scrambling. So thank God for her. But she's just going to have to force me and hold me accountable to it. It's just and it's like, I don't know. So how do you figure it all out, right? It's like, I know this stuff is coming, but time for me is so ambiguous. It's such a strange thing. It's just such a strange thing. It's very abstract. And so kids really need a lot of help with this, because they need to learn how to know what time means, and they also need to know what it feels like, right? So they need to learn about planning, and they need to learn about prioritizing. So they need to learn the things that they need to do and get done. And and they need to learn how important each task is, right? And then be able to kind of chunk out what they're doing, to be able to keep track of that stuff. And then they also need to learn sort of how long each task is going to take and how long they can expect to be investing in that time or in that task, right? So there's different activities that you can do with them, like some guessing games and things like that. One of the things like that I recommend to parents is give them a few different tasks and have them guess how long it's going to take them to accomplish it. So, have them do 10 jumping jacks and have them guess how long it's going to take them to do 10 jumping jacks. And then if they're way off, which usually they will be, you can kind of talk to them about what time means. Have them, do the dishes and guess how long it's going to take them, and then, so on and so forth, so that they can start to kind of get a sense of how long it is. Get a timer, get visual timers. Like you can get like a 2-minute or a 3-minute sand timer, like an hourglass thing, while they're brushing their teeth, so that they can feel what that feels like. That's how long they need to brush their teeth, right? And as they get older, you can start utilizing different forms of technology to help them, different alarms, different timers, I use my Apple Watch like incessantly. That helps to keep me on track day to day. And as well as like accountability partners. This is stuff that keeps kind of biting me in the butt, even though like I am an ADHD coach. I do help people figure this stuff out. I do know what the skills are, and I do employ them myself because I have to. But it does still bite me. There are still times when I really struggle, and I have to use my tools unfailingly because it is a part of how my brain is, right? So if I don't use my tools, that's when I'm gonna fall, right? Natural consequences, really any kind of a consequence, has not proven to be effective because it just hasn't, I'm so much in the present when it comes to this stuff that like I can convince myself that I can just wait till later. It'll be fine. I won't be upset if, I don't start saving it for retirement until next week. I'll just go out to dinner. I can start saving for retirement tomorrow or whatever. One of my biggest things that I procrastinate on, and this is like every morning, it drives me crazy. So I've been really disciplined about this, is getting my kids ready to go to school the night before, right? Making sure their outfits are picked out, making sure their snacks and lunches are packed the night before, making sure all that stuff and their backpacks are done, making sure all that stuff's laid out to eliminate the scramble in the morning, because that drives me nuts because it's always something missing, always. So, and I don't want to. By the time 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock rolls around at night, I'm like, oh, I just want to relax, right? Like, we've done all the driving around, we've done all the busy work, we've done all the things. I don't want to get up. I just want to chill. Well, the kids want nothing to do with that. So I'm like, okay, let's just do this. So anyway, I do it. I get myself up and I do it. And then those mornings when I realize that I haven't done it is when I am often late. I'm scrambling to get out the door. The kids don't end up with everything that they need, and it's just a much more difficult exit. So a good trick, if you find yourself putting something off that you know you need to do, is to sit and meditate on how you will feel when you don't do the thing, right? Like really dig in. Remember the last time you didn't do the thing and how you felt when you didn't do the thing. Really dig into those feelings, like really dig, like be like, okay, how did I feel? How did my body feel? How did my stomach feel? How did the back of my throat feel? How did my eyes feel? Like just feel your body, like, and hopefully you can get yourself motivated enough to just get up. And once I'm up and doing it, and I'm sure this is true for you or your ADHD, once you're doing it, you're fine. And you can actually probably keep going doing other things. Once you're doing it, you're fine. It's just a matter of getting started. That's the trick for me. It's a matter of getting started. So, yeah, do that. So, there are definitely some ways on how to be sort of mindful of your time. Using timers, right? Being very specific about how you're chunking your time. With younger kids, use visual timers, and all you have to do is plug in visual timers in Amazon, and it'll kick up visual timer, and you can access it there. And you'll see looks like an egg timer, but when you turn it, it turns a color, and they can watch the color deplete as the time goes on. So that's really, really cool. And then you can use it with technology, right? You can get an app that will shut down your phone for you so that you don't get sucked into the internet or the social media, and so that you can shut your brain down. You can set alarms to shut your TV off at a certain time so that you remember to go to bed on time. You can set alarms from your phone to talk to your watch, so your watch buzzes so that you know to change tasks. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. One of the most effective ways that I have found is I have an accountability partner. I have somebody that I work with who knows what my tasks are and my goals are each week that I want to get done. So I'm self-employed. There's nobody that is going to hold me to task. Just me. Just me, and maybe some upset clients, and I don't want that to happen, right? So that's not my goal, is to upset my clients. So I have an accountability partner, and we speak weekly, and we hold each other to task. We know each week the things that we want to accomplish, and we might have some bets on it every once in a while. We might put some money on it just to kind of make it worth our while, just to kind of, give it that little extra push to make that adrenaline rush. I don't want to hand any money over for not getting my stuff done. But, it's just sort of all in fun, but it's also good as a way to make sure that I'm staying on task. And I need that. My brain needs that. My brain needs that adrenaline rush. That might not be, what works for you, but that's what I need to keep my brain on task and to have that motivation to keep myself going. Create rewards for yourself and make it non-negotiable, right? Like, you cannot do X until A is done, right? So you have got to get those dishes done before you leave the house to meet your friends. Period. And hold yourself to that. And you do have to be your best disciplinarian. Like, you do have to hold yourself accountable to that, but you can, right? You can. It doesn't have to be, an impossible task. You can put those strategies in place. Absolutely. So, just keep trying until you find what works for you. And remember, it's trial and error, and time is very elusive. Time is very abstract, and access your supports, build yourself a team, and you got this, right? And if you have kids that have ADHD, help them start to learn what time is at an early age, right? Start implementing some of those tips and tricks at a young age so that they can get a handle on their time management early. Alrighty, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. You can go check out my website at www.embracetheextra.com. There's a contact me link on that page. Feel free. I'm also on Instagram at embrace_the_extra, and you can also find me on Facebook at the ADHD Coterie. And so I'm here to help, guide, advise. I am a mama with raising a child with ADHD. I have ADHD myself, and I am a clinician educated in the field, and I am here to help. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I want to be there. So that's all for today, folks. I look forward to seeing you on the web. Bye-bye.